It is the dawning of a new era in 16th century Spain. Spanish hearts swell with pride as the throne of Spain wields its powerful sword over the known world. Her territories expand, as does the influence, power, and wealth of her church. In the West, Columbus offered dominion over a new continent to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, Los Reyes Católicos de España. Cortés conquered Mexico in 1519, and in 1521 Ferdinand Magellan stumbled upon the pearl of the Orient Seas, the Philippines. In 1524, Pizarro conquered Peru, and its vast wealth soon flowed generously into the Spanish coffers. It was a time of glory, a time of turbulence. In Germany, the rebel monk Martin Luther was excommunicated as he stubbornly swept aside the dogma of the powerful Catholic Church and the social convention. In England, Henry VIII married Anne Boleyn, and his infamous royal divorce ended in the separation of the Church of England from Rome. It was an era of heresy and abuse, but also an era of great faith. It was the reign of the dreaded Spanish Inquisition and its abuses, religious oppression and dissolution of monasteries, but it was also the age of Reformation, the return to grace, particularly in the mitigated order of Carmel in Spain. This was also the century blessed with the presence of a Reformator nun in the convent of the Incarnation in Avila, the woman immortalized by the sculptor Bernini in the church of Santa Maria della Vittoria in Rome. The mystic saint and first woman doctor of the Catholic Church, Doña Teresa de Ahumada y Cepeda.
I am Doña Juana Suarez, one of 180 nuns living in a convent of Avila in Spain, a Carmelite convent of the mitigated order known as the Incarnation. It was towards the end of October in 1536 when I stood waiting at the convent door, waiting for a friend who was coming to join our community that day. Little did I know that that day my life would change. No, in fact, our life as Carmelites would change. Or, to put it more accurately, her arrival at the Incarnation that day would be like the coming of light to the mitigated order of Carmel that was suffering from the spiritual darkness of mediocrity and materialism. Of course, no one realized that except years later. I was there to welcome my friend, mi amiga Teresa. With me was a crowd of young novices, more curious than sincere, for Teresa's reputation as a wealthy, headstrong, and lovely young lady was common knowledge in Avila. Even before her arrival, her decision to enter the convent had created a stir. She was my friend, and knowing her, I myself wondered, Teresa? A nun? How could that be? But that is jumping ahead of my story.
On Wednesday, the 28th day of March, in the year 1515, About half an hour after 5 o'clock in the morning, with the first rays of sunrise, Teresa, my daughter, was born. Thus, Don Alonso Sanchez y Cepeda, native of Toledo, and man of noble birth and dignity, records his daughter Teresa's entry into the world. The church bells of Santo Domingo are heard from the distance, followed by the ringing of all the bells of Avila, the cathedral, the convents from the Benedictines to the Carmelite fathers, from the Poor Clares to the Augustinian nuns of Our Lady of Grace, from the Franciscan sisters to the Dominican friars of Santo Tomas, from the Cistercians to the Dominicans of Santa Catalina. The old stones echo with the bronze voices of all the saints of the city. For, as the saying goes, in Avila there is nothing but saints and stones.
How is she, Doctor? How is Beatriz?
Thank God, she's all right now. Poor Doña Beatriz. That was a difficult case. But don't worry, Don Alonso. She's young and will be on her feet before we know it.
And the baby?
Don Alonso, a true blessing from the Lord. Una niña hermosa, a lovely baby girl. Your fifth child, I understand?
Yes, and my first daughter with Beatriz. You know that Doña Catalina left me with a boy and a girl, Juan and Maria. Beatriz has given me 2 sons, Fernando and Rodrigo. A girl is just what we have been praying for. The Lord has been good. Our prayers have been answered.
Just listen to that. What a girl! Only a few hours out in the world and already she's claiming her rightful place at the top of her voice.
That gives me a great idea. I believe I shall name her Teresa, after her maternal grandmother, the great lady of Castile, Doña Teresa de las Cuevas. My Teresita will be baptized a week from today, on the 4th of April. That should be soon enough. Ah, a blessed coincidence indeed. El 4 de Abril, the day they inaugurate the convent of the Incarnation, the house of the Carmelite nuns of mitigated observance in Avila.
Another convent in Avila. Truly, we in Avila are blessed with saints and stones. How do they say it? En Avila, santos y cantos.
I'm glad it's over. For all her frail appearance, Beatriz has always been a good wife and a mother. She has managed our household extremely well and taken excellent care of the children since I married her at 14. She must be overjoyed at having a baby girl.
Well, she seemed pretty exhausted, but nothing that a bowl of hot soup and a good rest cannot cure. You could go in now if you want, and have your first look at La Niña Teresita.
In the Omada Isepeda household, as in the households of Avila, the children developed a taste for adventure, war, and glory early in life. They were products of Spain's greatest times. Don Alonso from Toledo, and now an Hidalgo of Avila, bore two illustrious names. Sanchez of Castile, Aragon and Navarre, and Cepeda, made glorious by Don Vasco Vasquez de Cepeda, Lord of the place, who had fought with Alfonso XI, redresser of wrongs, at the siege of Gibraltar. Teresa was 5 when tales of the revolt by the Comuneros filled the air. Doña Beatriz, Alonso's second wife and Teresa's young mother, loved to read her favorite stories of chivalry and romance to her young daughter.
Mama, are you there?
Estoy aquí, hija. Is Rodrigo with you?
No, Mama. He is with the other boys. Don't you remember? This is the day their master is here, and they're all downstairs practicing with their swords. Every single one of them dreams of growing up fast and fighting and killing the enemy with a real sword. Mama, why can't I join them? Why can't we girls go to the war like them? We could learn to fight too, and protect our dear Avila against the Moors, like the men.
Well, Teresita, I've got just a story for you tonight. There is someone you must meet. Mirala. Isn't she magnificent?
See, Mama, is that a woman? Why is she dressed like a man? She looks so strong. Who is she?
She's a woman, all right. The great heroine, Doña Jimena Blasquez. One day, all the men in her village went off to war. Suddenly, the women and the children heard a dreadful noise. It was like thunder, the dreadful sound of enemy horses coming towards them. They knew what it meant, and they were frightened because there were no men to protect them from the Moors. The children started to cry, and the women began to get frantic. But Doña Jimena, wise and brave, stood up and gave the orders to the women to hide the children. She gathered the women whom she had secretly trained to use swords and ride horses for a time such as this. They were determined to save their children and their homes, and they fought with all their might. Doña Jimena led her army of brave women to victory that day.
De mujer, when I grow up, I shall be like Doña Jimena and save my children and my home from the enemy. Mama, do you think Papa will let me train with Rodrigo and the other boys?
Teresa, these days we have all the men we need to protect us, and so we women have our own tasks to do. We stay at home and take care of our children and our husbands and leave the fighting to the men. While they're away, we pray for them that they may come home safe from the war.
But it seems a good thing to know how to ride a horse and use a sword just like Doña Jimena, Mama. She had to fight for those she loved. You never know. One must always be prepared to do great deeds.
Well, we'll see about that. But before you go dreaming again, Teresa, let me hear you say your Padre Nuestro y Ave Maria. You must never forget to ask God and the Blessed Mother to protect you, especially when you're alone or in trouble.
That's easy, Mama. I say them every night. Listen. En el nombre del Padre, y del Hijo, y del Espíritu Santo. Rodrigo, that's St. Lawrence! See those flames licking his whole body? The pagans roasted him alive. Isn't that magnificent?
Magnificent? Teresa, I think it's horrible. They're roasting him alive.
But he's like a lamb being offered to God, a sacrifice on the altar of the Lord, and he's dying for Christ.
I don't know, Teresa, but I'd rather die for Christ some other way. This is too painful.
What about Saint Stephen? Mother told me how they stoned him for believing in the one true God. They crushed his skull with a huge rock and left him dead.
Nobody dies like that these days.
Well, Papa said they still behead the Christians in the land of the Moors.
I am glad we live in Avila, so far away from the Moors.
Oh, how I envy them. Their suffering is so short, and their reward is so great. Eternal, forever and ever. You understand that? Do you remember the great basilica, Rodrigo? The one we visited with Papa. Avila's greatest basilica, dedicated not to a great warrior, but to children. The child martyrs, Vincent and his sisters, Cristeta and Sabina.
Of course, I remember. They refused to offer sacrifice to the Roman gods, and the pagans took them mercilessly.
Maybe someday we could also have a basilica dedicated to us, the brother, sister martyrs, San Rodrigo and Santa Teresa. Wouldn't that be great?
Of course, it would be. But how?
No one dies that way in Spain these days.
Maybe we could go to the land of the Moors and have our heads cut off, and we would die and fly straight to heaven. Yes, we could do that. We could definitely do that.
But how do we get there in the first place?
That must be very far, and Papa and Mama would never let us go.
Oh, Rodrigo, of course. They would never let us go. But do we have to let them know? Couldn't we just run away? That would be so much fun. By the time they miss us, we'd be far and away on the road to the Moors, to death, to glory, forever and ever. Let's go, Rodrigo! Tomorrow! Let's go!
So soon?
Why not? The sooner we die, the better, right? Think, Rodrigo. Heaven forever, and a great basilica in our name. Basilica de San Rodrigo y Santa Teresa. Say yes, Rodrigo! You're scared, aren't you?
I'm not.
Then, why won't you say yes? Well, if you're scared, I will have to go alone. That means I will have to go to heaven without you. Of course, that would be a little lonely, and I would miss you. You know, you've always been my best friend and brother. But if you're scared, I won't force you. If that's the price of martyrdom, I guess I must go to heaven alone.
But that's unfair. We've shared everything together, every adventure, and now you get to go to heaven alone? Besides, you will need me to take care of you. You're just a little girl, and I'm your big brother.
You're only 4 years older than I am. That's not much, really.
Still, I'm your big brother, and I should take care of you. Who says I'm afraid? I'm just being careful.
Tomorrow then?
All right, we shall go. Tomorrow if you like. Honora si quiero.
Oh, Rodrigo, thank you. I knew you'd never let me go by myself. I want us to go together to the land of the Moors. Have our heads cut off together and fly to heaven together. So, we'll meet in the kitchen after the servants have gone to bed. We will need some bread and some raisins for our journey. You never know. It could be a very long one. And we could get very hungry in the way.
See that gate, Teresa? That's where Juanita passes every morning when she goes to fetch the milk. We could go as soon as she leaves. By the time they see that we're missing, we shall be far away.
Oh, this is so exciting. Oh, Rodrigo, do you think we shall be able to sleep tonight? I don't think I shall be able to.
We will have to, if we want to wake up early and leave early tomorrow morning. Oh, my poor feet! How they ache! Don't your feet hurt, Teresa?
A little, but what is a little pain compared to the reward we shall have? This is such a small suffering compared to heaven. Right, Rodrigo? Here, you can have some of my raisins. Feeling better?
Uh-huh. But my feet are killing me. Do you think we're almost there?
We'll get there, Rodrigo. The Lord will see to it now that we've made up our minds to die for Him.
Wow! What have we here? Teresa? Rodrigo, you brought your little sister all the way in this heat. Where do you think you're going? Your papa and mama must be sick with worry now, looking for you.
We're going to the land of the Moors, Uncle.
Well, this is certainly not the road going to the land of the Moors. This is the road to Salamanca. But why in heaven's name would you want to go there?
To have our heads cut off, so we can die and go to heaven. We do want to go to heaven soon, Uncle.
Such nonsense! I must take you home immediately. You have not learned your catechism properly. Land of the Moors indeed. Que idea muy tonta. A boy your age should know better than to drag your little sister into such foolishness. Come on, take your things. I must bring you home. What a fine beating your papa will give you when he learns about such stupidity. Vamos a la casa.
It was La Niña's idea. I just went along to protect her.
Haha, protect her. Bah, you're a couple of crazy kids. Wait till they learn of this at home. Let's go.
There was great rejoicing when they got home, although as Uncle Francisco had promised, Teresa and Rodrigo did get their share of scolding for the trouble they had caused. For a while, the Moors and martyrdom and the thought of heaven were forgotten. She was only 13 when Teresa's mother, Doña Beatriz, passed away at 33. In her sorrow, and remembering her mother's words, Teresa turned to the Blessed Mother, asking her to be her mother now that Doña Beatriz was gone. Mi amiga Teresa grew up to be an irresistibly beautiful young lady. Her father loved her. Her brothers adored her. All who knew her were drawn to her by her charm and wit. At 16, she loved the attention, and she began to wake up to womanhood. By this time, Teresa and Rodrigo were once more inseparable. They enjoyed long conversations, and this time, Teresa dreamt of becoming a famous writer. Like her cousins, Teresa was caught by the magic of young love and its pleasures. And there was something else. Although he remains unnamed, a male cousin soon took a keen interest in winning Teresa's affection. This did not remain hidden from Don Alonso, who watched his daughter Teresa very protectively. As a teenager, Teresa enjoyed the trappings of wealth and popularity to the full, and the dreams of childhood soon faded in the background.
It doesn't matter what you wear, cousin. You know you're always the belle of the party. That color looks special nice on you. Is that one of your mama's dresses?
Yes. Yes. Oh, Ines, I miss Mama so much. We used to have such nice times together. She was often sick, and she used that as a perfect excuse for not receiving her friends, and that gave us plenty of time together. As a child, I remember slipping into her room to listen to her stories. Papa would be away on business, and the boys would be busy practicing with their master. The house would be perfectly quiet, and Mama and I would throw dried lavender flowers in the fire and enjoy the scent and blue smoke that filled her room. She would then speak to me about our Lord Jesus Christ and His Blessed Mother. She would tell me again and again that the Blessed Virgin was my true mother. I did not understand that, but when Mama died, I prayed to Nuestra Señora de Caridad to take care of me, to be my mother. She has always done that. Do you know the story of Oriana and Amadis, Ines? It was one of our favorites.
I don't think I've heard that story.
Oriana was King Lisuarte's daughter, the most beautiful creature man had ever seen. So pretty, she had no equal. The queen gave her Amadis, the young lord of the sea, to serve her, saying, "My darling, this is a young lord for your service." Oriana liked him and rewarded his brave feats with her love. "He pleases me," she said. Oriana's words were so deeply engraved in the young lord's heart that he never forgot them. He served her faithfully, always with joy, and his heart was completely hers. She loved him just as much, and their love lasted as long as they lived, forever and forever.
Ooh, que romantico! Do you think, cousin, that we will ever find such a love? A forever kind of love?
I would never settle for less, because like glory, love has no value unless it is forever. That's what Mama always said.
Well, our cousin Pedrito seems to like you a lot. I dare say he loves you. Do you like him too?
Shh! You know Papa would never approve of him. But it does feel good to be loved and to be the center of everyone's attention.
Who's there?
Señorita Teresa, soy Miguela.
Ah, it's only Miguela. Open the door. It's all right, Miguela.
Señorito Pedrito said to give it to you when no one was looking.
Did anyone see you?
No one, señorita.
All right then, you may go. Vete, vete.
It's from Pedrito. I knew it.
How can you tell?
I can tell by the way he looks at you. When you're in the room, he sees no one else. He looks at you the way Enrico looks at me. So tell me, do you love him?
I don't know, Inez. I do know I am happy when we're together. If she were here right now, Mama would say that when I love, it must be like Oriana, forever and completely. Pedrito, like the rest of our male cousins and friends, will ultimately leave me. These men, all they think about is being conquistadores for Spain and getting rich and basking in their newfound honor, their honra.
Well, I say, let them go. But while they're here, let's enjoy their company. Teresa, I must go ahead. Enrico must be looking for me now. Do fix yourself now, Teresa, and join us. The music's starting. Can't you hear? Hurry!
Teresita, are you in there?
Papa? Un minuto, Papa. I was just getting ready for the party, Papa.
You are every inch a lady now, Teresa. And a very lovely young lady. Una mujer muy bella. Perhaps it's time I found you a husband. But sit down, Teresa. I have something important to say to you. I am leaving for Gatarandura at dawn, and I am afraid there will be no time to discuss this in the morning.
Si, Papa?
Teresa, since your mama left us, it has always been your sister Maria looking after you. But you do know that she and Don Martin will be getting married very soon, and they will be settling down in their own home in Villatoro as soon as the place is ready. Very soon, your brothers will all be off seeking their own fortunes in the service of His Majesty, the King. I will have to spend more time attending to our family business, and that will leave no one to look after you.
Don't worry, Papa. I'm all right. My cousins are here. They love it here. I won't be lonely when Maria goes.
That's just the problem, Teresa. You're all young people here. When you are together, it's all parties and fun, dancing, flirtations, the magical world of the young. Sometimes I miss La Niña, my simple, sensible Teresa who used to surprise us as a young girl. Remember how you ran off with Rodrigo to the land of the Moors?
Oh, Papa, we were only children then.
Por supuesto, mi amor. You're 15 now, and time to get serious about your future. Do you know that I married your mother when she was only 14? Sometimes I catch you looking sad and restless, and I hear things about you that bother me. Unfortunately, I cannot give you the comfort and good advice that your mama or your sister Maria could give a growing girl like you. I know you're a good girl, responsible, determined. I'd like to be assured that in our absence, no harm shall come upon you, in any way at all, physically, spiritually, emotionally. After all, you are one of the prettiest girls in Avila. It wouldn't surprise me if someone came up to me now to ask for your hand in marriage. Well, Teresita, I have made arrangements for you to stay with the nuns of the Assumption as a boarder in their convent as soon as the wedding is over.
No!
They say the mistress of the young girls at Our Lady of Grace, Doña Maria de Breteño, is a wonderful teacher and a friend to the young girls there. You may join your cousins now, but let's keep this a secret, shall we? That way, it will be easier to say our goodbyes when time comes for you to go.
Yes, Papa, of course. I still think this is just too sudden.
Teresa! What's keeping you? They're all here. Enrico, Pedrito, the whole company. The music's starting. They're beginning the dance. Hurry up, will you?
All right, I'm coming.
In his fatherly concern, Don Alonso brought Teresa to the convent of Our Lady of Grace after her sister Maria's wedding. Under Doña Maria de Breteño's care, she was properly initiated into the life of a young lady in the world. More importantly, she grew aware of the world of the Spirit, her life in God. Her life at the convent was like a first knock of our Lord Jesus Christ on her young heart.